Alrighty, guys, we are back at it. Very different day this week. Alex and I had a busy past couple of days, so we are doing it live and in the flesh on a Tuesday.
Tuesday podcast.
Tuesday podcast. Hopefully, right now y'all are getting off work and getting home and getting settled in and getting ready to go. So we'll see you when we see you when you hop in here. We are talking mainly today about the events that are currently happening in Afghanistan, and it's a heavy topic. It's a multifaceted topic. There's a lot to unpack here.
A lot to unpack here.
And yeah, it's just a lot. It's just a lot. What's up, Squash? You guys are just trying to throw me off my schedule. Sorry, I know. First, I changed my other schedule for streaming, and now we're live on a Tuesday. I know it. Before we go any further, though, I do need to put this caveat out there since I am in the military, that anything that Alex and I, well, not Alex and I, but mainly anything that I say throughout this episode is 1000% my own opinions on this subject, and are not representative of what the DoD has said and what the Air Force has said about anything. This is all me coming at you guys, and it doesn't represent anything anything from the DoD or the Air Force. Just so we have that basis covered. But anyway, if for some reason...
You speak for the U.S. military.
I do not. I absolutely 1000% do not. Do not put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
Just kidding.
Yeah, so in case you guys haven't seen, or I just are just living under a friggin' rock, the U.S. is in the process of pulling out the last bits of our troops from Afghanistan right now. And as of, before all this shit started happening, we were 95% of the way through our drawdown in Afghanistan, which started back in May. And that was actually a timeline from our previous president that our current president has had decided to uphold. Now, with this drawdown happening, the Taliban has rushed through in almost 2 weeks and pretty much retaken the entire country of Afghanistan.
It's like Christmas for the Taliban.
Yeah, it took
right
them.
now.
It took them literally no time to get to Kabul and set up. The Afghan military put up little to no fight in the majority of places that the Taliban has, or the Taliban marched through, and the president and some of the leaders of that country bailed super quick.
President got on a plane with a pocket full of cash and said, "See ya." Right after not right after, but soon after he had said, if the U.S., draws their forces back, draws their troops back, we're going to stay on the ground, we'll fight. He literally said, "I will die fighting for my country." And then the second we got out of there, he was like,
"Oh fuck,
where's that cash? Where's that plane? Let's get the fuck out of here, bro. Time to go."
He up and bailed super quick. The vice president of the country essentially said that he's basically the acting president right now, and he's at least like sticking around. But we'll see. Right now it was over the weekend so crazy that they had to stop evacuation efforts for the remaining forces and diplomats and Afghan allies that we have, because the airport was overrun with civilians just trying to get out of the country as the Taliban marched through and overtook Kabul.
And apparently the Taliban army today had forces, like troops around all of the entrances to the airport.
Yeah, so what has happened right now, because I was doing some reading up on it, the Taliban has promised safe passage, I guess, for anybody that wants to go to the airport. The U.S. is not trusting the Taliban's word on that. They are closely monitoring the situation and watching their actions. Um, but as of yet, there's been no incidents. But
They've been describing it like a very eerie calm before the storm.
yeah, it's
Like
it's
right now
probably
they're
super surreal over there right now.
right now the Taliban is playing way nicer than people really thought they were going
Yeah,
to,
they
and people are hunkered down in their homes. Like anybody that cooperated with US forces while we were there, apparently there's these lists that have been made and they're already going door to door, but nothing is really like
yeah,
happened
which
yet.
is
They're
like
not.
it's super weird because the Taliban had a press conference today that said if you help the allied the Western forces, there's not going to be any repercussions. You're going to be fine. Like we want you to stay here and like continue to do what you were doing with them, but like do it for us. They said that women will still be able to work and study and have women's rights, but they said that it was going to be within the framework of Islam, and that that framework for the Taliban is under Sharia law, Sharia Islamic law. So I don't know. I'm not an expert on that by any means. Um, but from the little bit I do know, it's not a great framework for women having rights. Because 20 years before this war started, the Taliban was in control, and it was not a good situation for women. They were stoned in the streets, and they had to put on the full burqa, could not expose any part of themselves, and had to walk. If they went outside, they had to be accompanied by a male family member. So this version of the Taliban seems to be playing nicer than the previous iteration. We'll see what happens, but I know already that pictures of women are being covered up in Kabul as like ads or anything like that that feature women. They are being painted over right now. So it's um, it's a weird situation. It's it's not. I feel it's not being handled super great, um, like at all. There is a exorbitant amount of military equipment that got left over there at Bagram. That, like we said, okay, we're leaving, and we kind of just left all of that shit. Which to more often than not, when that happens, is because it's cheaper for us to leave it rather than ship it all back. And I think another part of it was that we were kind of leaving that for the Afghan military to use,
Yeah.
so that they wouldn't be just up the creek without a paddle. Um, the shitty thing of it is, and this is one thing I read, is that the president had a choice. Afghanistan had requested, some more equipment, Black Hawk helicopters and things like that, in order to be able to kind of bolster their air force a little bit, so that they could fight the Taliban. Um, when this inevitability, because this was an inevitability. As soon as we pulled out, this was, it wasn't like this might happen. Like it was going to happen. It was just a
No,
matter of time of
this was
about
coming
how quickly it was going to happen.
this was coming under Trump.
Yeah,
And
it was
that's
started because he started the withdrawal. He started saying, "Okay,
not
we're gonna withdraw at this point."
not to put the cart before the horse, because I know we're going to get into all this and there's a lot to unpack here, but it I don't know why it surprises me anymore. Honestly, it doesn't really surprise me. Where when Trump stood up on stage and gave his address to his whatever Trump rally it was and said, "We're going to bring the forces home by May the 1st. We've been in this war for 20 years. It's silly. We need to bring the forces home." That was one of the few things, well, not one of the few, one of the things that Donald Trump said during his presidency that I'm like, I'm on board with this. I think this is a great idea. It is time. We've been fighting a stupid, senseless war, investing millions, trillions of dollars of resources into this fake war that it wasn't a fake war, but we never really had an objective. Like that's the whole goal of the military, is when you go in an operation. At first, it was to snake out Osama bin Laden, to stop the Taliban presence, to stop another event like that from happening again, i.e., 9/11. So we get them, and then we stay there, and now it's a humanitarian issue because we're going to try to uplift this community. Well, there was never a real clear like ending point to the quote unquote mission.
Yeah,
And I'm derailing a little bit. My main point, sorry, not to cut you off,
you're good.
was that when Trump said it, Republicans were like, "Hooray, bring the forces home." And now Biden is doing exactly what Trump said he was going
And
to do, just a
everybody's
little bit later.
booing him. All the
And all the
Democrats are
people on the
booing him.
right are like, "How could you do this? How could you do this?
People on
This is
both
the
sides are
stupidest."
booing him. They're like, "Boo! What are you doing? Boo!" And it's like, dude, I'd start. It's just senseless fucking political bullshit at this point. With that, but so yeah, so like there's like that whole situation with us leaving a shitload of military equipment over there that now is in the hands of the Taliban, and I get where they were coming from. Like we kind of expected the Afghan military to put up more of a fight. But like on the flip side of that, and I guess partly to play a little bit of devil's advocate, is like the Afghan military was just as tired of fighting this war as we were. And there was probably a whole bunch of, you know, Taliban operatives out there paying people off or just talking to people and convincing them that this was the best course of action so that when, um, when they did come in to take power, it would be relatively easy, which has been shown that that's what happened. Obviously, we watched it happen in less than 10 days. They were in freaking Kabul. Hey Jesus, it's okay if you don't have anything to say about it. You just sit here and listen, and if that's one, if not, then like I appreciate you stopping in. Um, but I've heard as well that some people have said that this was an intelligence failure, and I for not for a second believe that this was an intelligence failure. We
Not a
had
chance.
we had the intelligence from this that was saying, once we pull out, it's going to be shitty. Like, and it was a build up to being shitty long before we started to pull out. And, when that information got routed up and whoever did whatever with it, that I'll give you that part might have been an intelligence failure as to who did what with the intelligence that got pushed up the chain. And either they didn't take it seriously or they underestimated the opponent that we were facing.
Oh, dude, they knew what was going to happen.
But
This has been
yeah,
this
but
has been the
they
impending struggle.
they knew it was going to happen, but they were not ready for it to happen in 10 days. They said at the earliest 30 days, if like when it goes down, at best it was going to take 90 days for them to do it. But
This
here we are 10 days into it, and everybody's like, "Oh fuck."
this has been the double-edged sword of this whole fucking situation for the last 2 decades, while we have been there spending countless millions of dollars into this effort, to where you're damned if you pull out and you make the smart decision to bring the soldiers home. Because here's another little fun fact: the Taliban is now in a better position. They are richer, stronger, and more fueled by passion than ever, especially than they were 20 years ago when we started this whole fucking mess. So not only did we go over there and not accomplish the quote unquote mission that we set out to take place, which was to give these people a democratic free society and make them a mini America, right? Which I don't think that was the true incentive, but we'll get into that more later as well. But now you make the smart decision to bring soldiers home, but now they're in a position to where the entire mission that we started out to succeed in, we've gone backwards. So I think this was a smart decision by Biden. You have to rip the fucking Band-Aid at some
At this
point in
point, yeah, you
time.
have to rip the bandit off and hope that and kind of hope that all the effort you put into training the Afghan military, all the money and resources you poured into them, that they go, okay, we can do this ourselves, but they can't. They didn't obviously, and they can't. So I think what happened is we kept pouring all these monies and resources into them, and they were like, well, it's fine. They've been here 20 years. We're now reliant on Western help to get us through this, and we can't stand on our own two legs. So if they pull out, we're fucked. And that's just the mindset that they had. And
It's like the
when we finally made a decision that's best for us and best for our soldiers and everybody else, they said, "Oh shit, here's what happened." And then they had nothing. They couldn't do anything. They became too complacent and too reliant on us to help them, and they didn't help themselves in this. And part of it is that, and part of it is I think a lot of them, like I said earlier, were tired of the fighting as well, and they were like, "Yeah, fuck it, let's see what the Taliban does." I guess
yeah.
because they sipped on the Kool-Aid that the Taliban was pouring out of, like, we're not so bad anymore. Which I don't fucking believe it. And like Squash said, what I don't know what PR guy the Taliban got to spin taking away women's rights is maintaining women's rights, but they found a whiz of a PR guy to spin that one.
Yeah, I'm
And they
sure.
spun that one all through Afghanistan, and everybody, because I was watching an interview earlier, like some dude was in a pool hall in Kabul and was like, I don't know, let's just see what the Taliban does, I guess. And I was like,
Dude,
oh sweet Jesus, no.
I'm getting fucking chills saying this. I saw real people tweeting pro
I
Taliban sentiment on
about
Twitter,
came
and I'm
fucking
like,
unglued because I didn't
are
see the tweets, but I
you
saw somebody was like,
joking
yeah,
me?
I saw somebody was like, yeah, so we're just tweeting
I
pro Taliban things now. Like, what
I
the
have I have
fuck?
real goosebumps saying that
It's
statement.
uncomfortable.
Like,
I don't like
but
it.
and I
Like,
don't want
how
to
have
get
we
on like
gone so far either direction that we've now come around to be like, yep, it's fine. We like the
the
Taliban. Like, are you
fucking
stupid?
Taliban, dude.
Like,
The fucking
I feel like the
Taliban
people that are,
is woke now.
yeah, apparently, I feel like the people that are
What?
like fucking tweeting that shit weren't even alive for 9/11. They're just like this little group of people that were alive after that, and they've grown up, and all they've seen on the news is this war and blah 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 blah, and they're too fucking naive and stupid to go and look in a history book and be like, yeah, maybe not pro Taliban, but like, pull your head out of your ass, you fucking quote woke Americans. Like,
Dude,
you're stupid.
I can handle a lot of shit. We sat and listened to a guy who's my dear friend last week talk about how communism was a good idea, and not thinking that Naomi Park or whatever her name is,
Oh yeah.
the defector from North Korea, is telling the truth. And those are things that I'm like, dude, I disagree with that a lot, but I can at least sit and have a civil conversation with you about it. If you're pro Taliban, fuck you.
If someone
Fuck
were to
you.
walk up
Read
to
a
me,
fucking book.
if some
Read a fucking book and don't talk to me again until you do. And if you're still pro Taliban, then double fuck you.
yeah,
Like,
from
stay away from me.
as
Don't
much
come
as
around.
like I say, yeah, I want to have a civilized conversation with you and we can talk about it or whatever. If somebody to walk up to me and spew forth that shit, it's a fight on sight. They're gonna catch hands. I don't care. Like, I will punch you in the face, and I don't. Like,
They
sorry, not
they
sorry,
would
actually.
put they would put to death someone like our dear friend Jesus, who happens to have an attraction to the male gender as a male. They would put him to death. They would stone him in the fucking streets for that. And if you are okay with that, then I'm not okay
Like,
with
how
you.
does like there?
I don't
If
want
you're
you
gonna
to
say
be
that
around me.
and then
Don't talk to me.
and then try and be an ally of the LGBTQ community, like, how your wokeness is conflicting itself. Like, are you fucking retarded? Like, come on. And I'm probably gonna get fucking raked over the coals for that comment, but I don't even care.
It's just
What's
so
up,
fucking
Slump?
comical, dude. It's not comical, like, but this is the goddamn world that we're living in,
Yeah.
where like the wokeness comes all the way around, and they eat themselves in this little circle. We've talked about it. We've talked about it. We talked about it. Love that. That's every Friday for me. Jesus says I'm always stoned. Love that. 420, brother, blaze it.
Blaze it.
Well,
I wish.
you don't have to be. Delta 8, totally legal in the state of Nebraska. I've been getting down on those gummies. Bro, those things will put you into orbit. Anyway,
Imagine. Anyways,
random sidebar.
so before we get any further on this, I do want to say this, okay? To anyone that happens to listen to this now or later on YouTube, if you're a veteran of this war on terror from the past 2 decades, or you're an active duty service member that joined and has been at it 10 years or whatever, or even if you're 20 plus and you're still a part of this, look, I know right now it it looks and it feels that everything that you sacrificed and worked for and did over there, and the friends that you lost over there. I know it's super sad right now, and it feels like you did all that shit for nothing. Um, and that sucks, man. And I feel for you guys. But just know, outside of the big picture shit that's going on right now, um, I've seen enough stories and other things, and other testimonies of people that of people that you guys helped over there. Stories of families that were able to leave that country and make a better life for themselves elsewhere. Stories of young girls that were able to go to England and get an education and then come to the States and continue that education. Um, I know it's hard, but try not to focus on the big picture stuff, and just remember that the families and the individuals that you guys interacted with and helped out over there. And if anybody needs to talk about it, my DMs are open on Twitter. They should be open. If not, I'll open them back up. Or you can reach out to me on Facebook or wherever, or whisper to us on the podcast. I'll get to it and I'll see it. But I just want you guys to know that, like, at least someone's here if you need to talk. And what you guys went through and what you guys lost and worked for isn't for naught. But anyway,
Same. I can't echo that sentiment enough. Those are the people that I legitimately feel sick to my stomach for. 'Cause those are the people that sign up so selflessly is the word that I'm looking for, to go and fight for my freedom and your freedom, while I sit here in this fucking condo in downtown Des Moines and complain about my work life, because I have to deal with X, Y, and Z, while those people are over there literally risking life and limb for my freedom. And now they look back and they see, well, wait a minute, this was all just some bullshit ploy to begin with, that we really didn't accomplish anything. But I watched my friend, my brother, get blown up by an IED, and that just didn't mean anything. And I understand that sentiment. And like you said, it did mean a lot to the individuals that you helped within that particular realm, within that particular group that you were fighting for, both foreign and abroad, or both at home and abroad. Dude, it's fucking senseless.
yeah,
Like it makes my stomach hurt. It
yeah,
really does. Like,
yeah. Hey, Ed Nuts, I didn't even see you pop in. How's it going? She said the
yeah,
fact
catch up on.
that anyone would say that publicly is frightening. It is very frightening. Squash said that apparently Congresswoman Lauren Boebert tweeted the following yesterday: "The Taliban are the only people building back better." She's done. Get her out. I don't
Yeah,
care. I'll be a part of cancel culture
fuck
right now.
you,
Get
Lauren
her
Boebert.
the fuck out. And
It's
like, there's no way you don't get to fucking.
That's not even cancel culture. Like, that is
How are
recognizing
you
that
in?
someone of holding a seat in our political sphere can't fucking recognize the fact that this is not good at all for anyone.
Like, how are you so
Like,
far up your own
you're
ass and so
that's such
against basically the military and whatever just happened over there? And I don't, whatever your thoughts are on what we did or didn't do over there. How are you so fucking dumb that you're gonna tweet out as as a United States Congresswoman that the Taliban are the only people building back better? Like, how the fuck did you make it to office? Like, who did you lie to? Like, I don't know. All I know is that you're done. For me, you're done. I don't give a I don't like anything you say from here on out. Like, go fuck yourself. And I'll
here,
tell that to her face. I don't care. Like, are you
here's the
shitting me?
problem. Here's a problem with, and I haven't seen that statement, and
I'm
it
about to look
doesn't
it up right
surprise
now.
me. Here's the problem with people like that saying things like that. I don't really think that she means that. Like, I don't think that she knows the actual context in which her words are bringing to light, or what really the connotation is behind that. It's all pandering to the specific audience that you're trying to gain votes from. I can guarantee you that's why she tweeted that. Or she's a huge fucking asshole that has no idea on the history of Islamic terrorists and Al Qaeda and the Taliban and everything that brought us to where we are today. Which, again, if you're fighting for the rights of women, you should be the most anti-fucking, not Islamic, I almost said Islamic, the most anti-fucking Al Qaeda, anything driven from that Sharia state of law is the most anti-progressive, most discriminatory towards women that you could possibly ever draft up anywhere within our country. Like, people would be run out of town if they presented those types of ideas here, which they should.
Well, she's so far up Trump's ass that it's not even funny. Sorry, I'm just.
Oh, is she a Republican?
Yeah, from Colorado.
Oh, wow, that's surprising.
And she's.
I mean, they're all fucking shitty. This is what we've been saying also. It doesn't matter if they're left or right. They're fucking shitty. It doesn't matter what side they're on. They're all fucking shitty. They're all pandering towards an audience. It does surprise me that she's on the right, though, because that's not really pandering towards the right. I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe she's putting some special spin on it. And I'll just answer Jesus's question while we're waiting. Jesus says, wait, I'm a little confused because I'll admit I haven't paid attention to Afghanistan. Where were the Taliban hiding? I thought they were taken out. So, no, they basically what they were doing is they were biding their time. They were basically sitting around waiting for us to leave because they knew the day was going to come. We can't stay over
Well,
there
and
forever,
they had also issued
right?
issued a statement, the Taliban, that said you have until this date to get out of this country, otherwise we're gonna start some shit.
Yeah. Well, so they were again. They're just sitting around biding their time. We do go over. We do get Bin Laden. We take out Al Qaeda, which was
A
who we
subsect
blame
of like the
for,
Taliban.
yeah, who we blame for 9/11. But then we also traded a prisoner of war who deserted his encampment for basically the quote unquote Secretary of State of the Taliban. So we had a POW who had deserted his platoon and was captured by the Taliban, and he was being held as a prisoner of war. Our famous President Biden went ahead and traded a whole bunch of people that we had as prisoners of war. We traded, again, their quote unquote Secretary of State. I think it was like, what, 5 people?
Something
4
like that. He
people?
was some like high up dude. Was like about with some cronies.
And now, by the way, all of those people are the ones that you'll see in many of the pictures being shown by all of the heads of the Taliban entity group. I don't know, political affiliation, religious group, whatever you want to call the Taliban. Fucking bad guys is what I'll call them. All of those people now are just back frivolously running around, in those pictures that you see of them sitting in the offices that they've now come in and taken over.
Yeah.
But we got our POW back who deserted his platoon. I'm not saying that we shouldn't have tried to help that guy, but
Well,
whatever.
with the fact of the matter is, on that guy, like it's not going to be a help thing. It's now that we have him back, he's going to stand trial for desertion, and
Yeah.
it's desertion during a time of war, which holds a very steep penalty.
Bo.
Um,
Bo. I want to say Bo Bichette, but that's the baseball player.
What do you think of that, Jesus? You're not. I know you're not being facetious or trying to upset me. I know you're genuinely just trying to get the information, which is fine. I'm more than happy to try and to help you understand like what's going on over there.
That's the whole point of this.
I also did see the tweet that she said as the video of and I'm sure most of you have seen this, of all the Afghan civilians swarming that C-17 as it was taxiing down the runway. And her distasteful ass tweet that she made about that, when she quoted it, said, "At least they won't have to read mean tweets." Like I hate this woman already. I don't care.
Now is not the time for that.
No, because those people that that were around. Some of those people ended up still being latched onto, like holding onto that plane. And when that plane took off, they fell many thousands of feet to their death. All right, and that sucks. And
And you know
I
why
hate
they're
that
trying to get out
because they
is
know,
probably because they had some sort of cooperation with us while we were
like
there.
they're
And
feared for their lives.
now the fact that we're leaving, they're like, "Oh fuck. Our pit bull isn't in the front yard anymore. There's nothing stopping these guys from coming to my door and hey, guess what? Time to go to the yard for your stoning. Time to be beheaded or whatever the fuck it is that they're into." Uh, If you if you want a look into fucking evil the evil shit that these dudes are into, go on YouTube and start finding some Taliban fucking beheading videos.
I mean,
I,
you're
I
probably
I'm
not gonna
not I'm
find
not
those on YouTube anymore, but like
I'm not advising that, but I've seen
it's out
quite
there.
a handful of them. They're out there. If you search, I'm sure you can go on Reddit and find some, or I don't know where you go to find that shit. But I I I've seen them. They're fucking gross and they're horrible and they're
Chills
as
thinking about it.
evil and vile as you can fucking get. And these are the people that now we're gonna tweet are saying they're the only people that are building back or whatever.
And
Like,
like, and I don't even
no,
like. I
dude,
don't give a fuck if
no.
you like tweeted that and you were supposed to, and you thought that you were being like sarcastic about it. You tweeted that with no context. So in the first place, number one, you should have never tweeted anything like that at all, especially right now and with the middle in the middle of it while the shit's going down. And then B, like with no context, you're gonna tweet that like are you just like insensitive and fucking blind and deaf to like what's going on, and you think that just is gonna be like that was okay? It's just senseless, and I'm gonna move past talking about her. Otherwise, I'm gonna sit here the whole night and ramble about how much of a shit human being she is.
Which last thing on her, this was Trump's fucking idea
Yeah,
that we were all on board with.
yeah.
That most sensical people said, yes, this is a good idea. It's time for this to be done. We can't keep spinning our wheels and our resources, which, by the way, if we really fucking cared about the humanitarian crisis, we'd be in fucking North Korea. But we don't really care about the humanitarian crisis. It's a very convenient way for us to continue in a stronghold within the Middle East, which, by the way, happens to have a lot of very valuable natural resources, which, by the way, we just happen to guard their poppy fields, because we want to be in good graces with these poppy farmers because they give us information on the Taliban. Weird. I don't know how that all fucking works. But it's such bullshit from both the right and the left right now to, again, Trump's in office. Democrats are saying this is fucking terrible. Republicans are saying this is great. Now that Biden's in office, Republicans are saying this is the most
Democrats are
fucking
like
horrible
Biden is the
idea.
savior of the military. Look at all this shit he's doing,
Thank
and then
God.
it's
How
like
many
fucking
lives? How many American soldier lives is he saving?
it's
Like,
fucking
it's the
dumb.
same bullshit on fucking repeat all the fucking time, dude.
Yeah,
It
it's just
frustrates me to no end.
I'm over it. Something else I wanted to address and because I've seen a couple posts about this. Like, okay,
I need another beer, dude. I'm getting too worked up.
yeah, I'm getting a headache, so I'm gonna have to get some ibuprofen here in a minute. I have friends in different branches of service, and some of them have posted things. There's a video of the Marines that were deployed out there running through the airport to secure the perimeter so that they could try and stem the flow and stop the flow of civilians onto the tarmac so they can continue with efforts. And someone had posted that Instagram story and said, "Get some, brothers." And for some reason that just it didn't sit well with me, all right? Because the purpose of the deployment of troops to Afghanistan now is to help facilitate the withdrawal of our forces, right? They're not out there to go get some. And that's why that sat poorly with me. Is they're there to help, and if they happen to get some, then like it's unfortunate that that's what it came to, because that means that some shit went south and they had to deal with it. But that's their job, and that's what they're there to do, is deal with the shit when it goes south. but their sole purpose of them was to not go out there and immediately just start like getting some. Okay, so if you are gonna tweet or post anything on any of social media that's in like support of our troops from any of the services, that's fine. But just please, for the love of God, be conscious of the fact that we're not over there to like right now. We're not over there to just start shitting on people again, like the bad guys. Um, we're over there to get everyone that we need to get out safely. So by all means, post your support for our troops and your thoughts and prayers, good vibes, positive energy, like good shit from the
Which
universe, whatever you want to call it. But just for the love of God, please know that if those people over there have to like quote or unquote get some, it's not a good thing.
Well, and by the way, we currently have a peace treaty with the Taliban, which if the first bullet fires and we're quote unquote getting some, shit is going to get way, 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 way fucking worse
It's
for
not going to be good.
everybody over there.
It's not a good
It's gonna
situation.
be that you think like
You think the
everybody
last
right
20 years
now,
was bad?
and like we were talking about earlier, right now it's kind of like this almost calm before the storm where people are almost freaking out because shit isn't hitting the fan. Stonings and beheadings aren't happening in the streets. Like, and you can dress it up one of two ways. They're either playing very nice right now, so we get the fuck out of there, and then they can do whatever they want, and the stonings and beheadings are going to take place in the street, which I think is probably the motive. Or you can take the approach of no, the Taliban has changed. I don't think that's the truth,
I don't believe
but
it for a second.
here's the one thing that will happen regardless is if one fucking bullet fires over there or one drone strike happens, we're going to see the Taliban that everybody knows and remembers. And it's going to be fucking chaos. You think it's chaos right now? It's going to be fucking guerrilla militia style, rounding
It's
up people in the streets and executing them in front of their friends and family.
it's not going
So
to be good.
no one wants anyone to quote unquote get some right now. Now's the time for not quote unquote getting some. It's getting the people that cooperated with us. Shout out to Black Rifle Coffee, by the way. Listen to their the Evan Hafer's interview with Joe Rogan most recently, who when he was over there, 11 tours I think in Iraq.
Jesus.
He's brought a lot of the people that were Afghan intelligence officers or whatever, people that were from the Middle East that ended up working for us, that were on like hit lists basically, for these terrorist organizations. He brought all of them over and are now working for Black Rifle Coffee. Like, those are the people we need to find right now and get the fuck out of there. Now's not the time for slaying Taliban army officers. That's not what we're living in right now.
Yeah.
We need to find the people that have helped us and assisted us and get them the fuck out of
Which
Dodge.
thankfully is what's happening right now. Enough of the chaos. Like the chaos has been calmed down and like chilled around the airport. Now that evacuation proceedings can continue. They started back up for us Monday morning today. And when the goal is we're supposed to be getting 22,000 people out of Afghanistan by August 31st. Like that's the deadline. That's the absolute last day that we can be there, and that means diplomats, uh, intelligence people for the U.S. and Afghani allies to the U.S. A whole bunch. There's a whole bunch of people that need to get out. Sorry, Ed Nuts. We got on a little bit of a tangent. I'm getting ready to get to your comment. Um, oh, she said, "Okay, don't speak to me, BRB." Okay, well, let me when she gets back, then we'll address her comment. Um, but but yeah, that's our goal right now, and you know, shit is moving. I can't say anything more without violating any OPSEC stuff that I'm a part of, but shit is moving.
Well, and Ed Nuts can speak to her daughter's swim teacher in a second, but I I I would have a hard time saying if someone came up to me tomorrow and said, "Hey, we need volunteers to go to Afghanistan. Here's a plane ticket. Like, go over there and help round up as many of these people that have been of assistance to us so we can get them the fuck out of there and bring them home so they don't end up beheaded in the streets." I would have a hard time saying no. Like, and I know that that would risk my personal life because I'm not going to, just kind of slide in Afghanistan. People are going to kind of notice the 6'4" ginger walking around. But at the same time, that's who my heart breaks for throughout this whole process the most, is the people that have willingly helped us, knowing that they're putting their own personal lives and their families' lives in jeopardy, and then we just say deuces, see you later. And all the soldiers that have spent fucking 10 deployments in Iraq, and are now back home stateside and watching all this shit happen, and they're like, wow, that we really just did all that shit for nothing, huh? Like, we're not in any better position with that for that country than we were when we started this 20 fucking years ago.
Yeah,
20.
It's tough, and it's a shit situation. And I'm not gonna sit here and pin it on one single administration because this spanned four. It spanned four administrations, and there was
No.
faults in every single one of them on how things got handled and everything like that. Like it's not the
And
fault of one sole person.
and two Democrats and two Republicans.
Both sides.
Equal split right down the middle. So if you want to say one side is better than the other side or whatever on certain issues, like, yeah, whatever, we can have that conversation. But this is the fucking prototype of how Democrats are not any better than Republicans when you get into this fucking muddy, corrupt military industrial complex that we're living within. There's no good side. There's no red is God and blue is the devil. That's not how this shit goes. It's not how it works.
It's not,
It's
and
it
even
runs
outs
so deep
even outside
into
of like that shit, just international affairs like that, like this in general, are convoluted and messy. It's like dealing it's dealing with people, and it's like, even if you look at it on a smaller scale, dealing with like a group of people, not everyone's going to be happy all the time in whatever group you're working with. And now we're talking on an international level. We're dealing with an entire fucking country, of which multiple other Western countries have their fingers in, and are trying to, like, set up something better than that what was there before, allegedly. And there's a bunch of other shady stuff that went down in the background of that we could get into at another point in time. But
you should play Eisenhower's speech on the military industrial complex.
I will in just a second. Ed Nuts is back, so
I'm
I'm gonna
gonna
talk
send
to
it to
her.
you. So
Okay,
anyway,
so I'm gonna
yeah,
address her comment.
absolutely. We'll get into that.
Yeah, so Ed Nuts' comment from a few minutes ago, and sorry it took us so long to get around to this. She said, okay, so her daughter's swim teacher randomly today said that she had friends from California in Afghanistan that were trying to help rescue people. She didn't want to go into detail because everything she gets into is biblical and ends up making no sense. But she was Ed Nuts is genuinely confused as to why she would have a family friends over there willingly, if that's what she was getting at. That's what it sounded like. So from what I understand from that comment, Ed Nuts, is that your daughter's swim teacher, her friends are probably missionaries over there in Afghanistan, and that was their business over there. They were missionaries. They were trying to spread the Christian faith to the people of Afghanistan. And now, given the situation that they're in, they're doing their best to continue their missionary work and also help facilitate the exit of people from Afghanistan, which is all well and good. What I will say though is they should probably not worry. I don't want to say not worry about helping people get out, but at least leave that to the professionals, is what I'll say. Because, and this is the unfortunate fact of the matter, not every civilian that has no importance to the U.S. and the U.S.'s interests over there is going to get rescued. They are going to have to find their own way out if they want out. And it's an unfortunate and hard reality of the situation over there. Because first and foremost, what's going to happen is the U.S. is going to protect United States citizens that are over there, and they're going to get them out first. And then they're going to go down the line of the people that were important, the people that helped us over there, and they're next on the boat. After that, once we've gotten out what we need, it's kind of up to everybody themselves to figure out if they want out and how they're going to get out. Because as much as everybody wants to, believe and think the U.S. is, the best and they're here to help everyone all the time, the be all and end all at the end of the day is the U.S. is going to protect their interests and what they deem important. And after that, unfortunately, you're on your own.
They're going to prioritize.
Yep.
That's what they do. That's fucking. You remember a little situation called Benghazi? Priorities were extremely out of whack, but that's what the situation was. We're going to sacrifice these American soldiers
don't get me started
and
on
these
that
American citizens because it's futile to try to send anyone in to save them.
Which is horseshit.
Again, that's take the morality or the decision making out of it. That was the decision that was made. So now you're going to end up in a similar situation where we have, what did you say, August 31st?
We have till August 31st. That's the deadline. The deadline is August 31st, and we have a number of 20. We have identified 22,000 people that are of importance to us that we are getting out.
So you have 2 weeks, 14 days. Exactly 14 days.
Airlift 22,000 people.
22,000. Think about if you were in Louisiana and you were trying to get 22,000 people to Iowa. Just say, right? Stateside, just state to state. That would be a fucking feat. That would be insanely difficult to get 22,000 people to one location. You'd have planes, you'd have trains, you'd have buses, and we could probably get 22,000 people out of Louisiana if there was like a hurricane or whatever to Iowa if we had to. You're talking fucking across the ocean, the Middle East,
literally halfway across the world, and the only thing we have
across the world,
the only thing we have to get them out is airplanes. And let me put this in perspective for you if none of you have seen this. I know some of you probably don't know how big a C-17 Globemaster is. It's a large plane. It's a large cargo plane. You can Google pictures of it and you'll see. And you can maybe kind of get a perspective on it. They loaded one of those motherfuckers up with some people say 600. I've seen other people say 800 people. They crammed at least 600 to 800 people.
I think the official number was 617.
Yeah. So they crammed 617 people into the cargo area, which is basically the entirety of that plane is a cargo area. They crammed 600 people into an aircraft and then left. And that's 600 people, some of which had seats, the majority of which did not have seats. They put them on the fucking floor of the jet and said, "Hold on," and left.
If we started loading up people right now, 22,000 people, we started loading up people right now, and say we could get 600 people on each plane, which I don't know how the weight distribution looks on those planes. Like that thing,
it's a feat, and the
way overloaded.
Well, it's a feat. So you have on those, you've got a crew of people that know what they're doing and how they're doing it. So like for that crew of that jet and the people that the load masters and everything to get that many people on there and situated in such a way that the plane was not going to fall out of the sky is fucking huge and
So
just amazing.
so if we started doing that right now, 22,000 people, 600 people a plane, it would take 2.6 planes per day to get everyone here. So you're talking about a plane leaving every morning, every afternoon, and most evenings for the next 2 weeks to get all of those people here safely.
And the thing is, we're not just using military planes. Like we're using our military planes. The other Western countries that were there with us are using their military planes as well, and we're chartering planes and using commercial aircraft. So it's a feat, and it will get done. But it's crazy at the same time.
If we make that happen, that would be an incredible feat.
I think it's
600 people a plane?
yeah. Well, and
3
I don't think
planes
they're
a
gonna
day.
cram. They're not gonna cram. Obviously that was like at the height of like the craziness, and they were like, get the fuck on the plane, basically, to whoever they needed to. And now that things are calmed down, I think we'll have a more streamlined and smooth process, and it's not gonna be as hectic, and we won't be cramming 600 people into a fucking aircraft. But yeah, either way, that's 600 plus people in an aircraft, and it's an astronomical feat, and the crews that was a part of that, or anybody that was a part of that operation, deserves to be congratulated and commended for how they handled themselves and in the fact that they got that done. It's crazy. Okay, I got the speech Alex wanted me to play. How long is it?
It is 3 minutes.
Okay, that's fine. So I'm gonna play this for you guys.
It's on military industrial complex.
Yeah. So I'm gonna
And
play
it's
this for you.
funny-
I come to
It's
you
funny
with a
how
message of
Eisenhower gets kind of a bad name also as
Yeah.
a president. But this was his parting speech, part of his parting speech, that when he's leaving office, he wants the American people to know what's going on, and this is what he has to say about the military industrial complex.
leave taking and farewell.
In
This speech did not
1961,
get very much attention. When a new president is coming to power, as John Kennedy was, the spotlight was not on Dwight Eisenhower.
We have been compelled to create a permanent armaments industry of vast proportions.
There was a feeling at the time that this must have been written by some speechwriter who just sneaked into the speech.
In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
3 months ago, we got contacted by a family up in Minnesota saying that we have documents from Malcolm Moose. He was responsible in part for drafting the military-industrial complex speech.
These new papers give us written evidence that this was not just some caprice of Eisenhower's or something by some speechwriter.
You see the evolution of his speech from May 1959 to 1961.
And he wanted to give this speech for a long time, 2 years.
Our military organization today bears little relation to that known of any of my predecessors in peacetime, or indeed by the fighting men of World War II or Korea.
There was one person in Dwight Eisenhower's life whom he really confided almost everything to, and that was his brother Milton.
There's one particular document where the speechwriters had already drafted their version of the speech, only to see Milton come along and totally revamp what had already been written.
When Milton Eisenhower was taking notes and writing things on the drafts of these speeches, the speechwriters knew that it wasn't Milton talking, it was Ike.
The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist.
He would see magazines with advertisements for some new warplane or some bomb, and he got so angry he'd take the magazine and throw it into the fireplace of the Oval Office because he felt that defense spending should not be something that would be encouraged by companies who are seeking commercial gain.
We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic processes.
There is an interesting document. It shows that the farewell speech will be made to Congress. But yet, President Eisenhower decided no, he was going to address the people.
Only an alert and knowledgeable citizenry can compel the proper meshing of the huge industrial and military machinery of defense with our peaceful methods and goals, so that security and liberty may prosper together.
One test of how well a president speaks is how long the speech lives. Here we are 50 years later, we're still talking about this speech.
Now, on Friday noon, I am to become a private citizen. I am proud to do so. I look forward to it. Thank you, and good night.
Well, there you have it from 1961. Eisenhower calling out the military-industrial complex, and here we are. What are we? 40, 60 years? 60 years later.
Warning people about the exact fucking world that we're living in right now.
And the thing that stood out to me is he said an educated populace, basically. And here we are 60 years later where the populace is not educating itself on what's going on and is just taking verbatim what is shoved down their throats, like we've said day in and day out on this podcast. And
Since day one.
And they're not doing their own due diligence. They're just taking things as they come at face value and just accepting it. And meanwhile, the cogs of the machines keep on turning, and the military industrial complex has gotten stronger and stronger, and is now, it's people, Boeing, and major companies like that. I don't remember all of them off the top of my head right now that are profiting majorly off of providing military equipment to the government. And it's become a symbiotic relationship between the government and these large companies to just keep fueling things. Lockheed Martin, thank you, Squash. To just keep fueling conflict so that both sides, this is what happens, both sides end up profiting.
This is the shit that makes me drink bourbon, dude.
Yeah, it's
if you really want to put on your tinfoil hat for a second, right, and really think about this whole thing being spawned and risen out of the military-industrial complex, which, if you don't know what the military-industrial complex is there's basically a lot of money to be made within a war.
It's essentially it's war profiteering.
An arms race.
It's war profiteering. In layman's terms, it's companies profiting off of conflict.
And if you don't necessarily know how that would work, go watch the movie War Dogs with Jonah Hill. Really fantastic, really funny movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard about it.
Based on a true story about how these guys just were in an arms race with different countries, essentially, and selling them different defensive weapon mechanisms, to put it as professionally as possible, I guess. But there's always money to be made in a war.
Well, and
right?
For another one, if you guys haven't seen that one, I know everyone's seen this movie, Iron Man, the first Iron Man. The beginning of that movie, Tony Stark is a private citizen in a large company selling equipment to the United States military and making a fuckload of money off of it. That is the military-industrial complex. That is war profiteering.
Because what do you need in a war? You need bulletproof vests. Well, I make bulletproof vests. What do you need in a war? You need ammo. I make ammo. What do you need in a war? I make assault rifles. Well, I sell assault rifles. There's a lot of fucking money to be made within a war, which is what Eisenhower is specifically warning against in a military-industrial complex. There's money to be made within a war. If everything's cohesive, if everything's all hunky-dory, we're all sitting around a fire singing Kumbaya with China and Russia and North Korea and South Korea, everybody's fine. We're all good. We don't need to go to war with each other because we're all happy. We can all sit around the fire and sing Kumbaya. But if South Korea and Russia, I'm just using random examples, say, fuck you, I don't want to sit around the fire and sing Kumbaya. And we say, fuck you, you have to sit around this fire and sing Kumbaya. Now we go to war. And what do we need? We need ammunition. We need bulletproof vests. We need tanks. We need all of the fucking special technology that goes with fighting the war. So there's a lot of money to be profited within that. So what would be a good way to keep funding this, military industrial complex? Well, guess what we're doing? We're going to war because that's how we fund this. So now Osama bin Laden attacks our World Trade Centers, which you can get into the 9/11 was an inside job. I'm not going to get into that right now. Let's just say he did that. So now instead of going out and sourcing out Al Qaeda and saying, you know what, our mission is to go over there and weed out Al Qaeda and get Osama bin Laden. And when we do that, we're done and we're coming home. We did that. We were done.
Well,
We should have
before
been
before
coming
we
home.
did that, we were like, well, we don't really like Saddam Hussein and what he's doing over there. Iraq's got
Operation
WMDs, and we were
Yeah.
and we were like, and then it was like, no, he doesn't. But at least we got him out of there, so now Iraq's in a better spot. Oh, fuck, I forgot. We were supposed to be going after Osama bin Laden. All right, onward to Afghanistan.
Operation Desert Storm.
Well, that was the
right?
'90s.
Like, yeah, that
That was the
yeah,
one before.
again,
That one, Operation.
going.
Yeah, so
That's what I'm
Operation,
saying.
yeah, Desert
Go
Storm
back
was
one more before
quick and
you
easy.
even get into that,
Yeah.
and then go into the Gulf War. Go
Yeah,
one
so
before
Gulf
that.
the
When-
Gulf War and Desert Storm were the same.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm
And
saying.
then so
But-
what we moved to after that was Desert Shield, was the one from 2000 onward.
I get lost in all the fucking names that they dress this shit up over.
I'm a history kid and
Yeah,
all that stuff, so I
all-
know.
All I know is we're constantly fucking engaging in battles and the war with these other countries in the name of something that really doesn't bring any real results to us back home.
Well, you want to know what it is, and this is just me, and you can go tinfoil hat on this, but it's basically the Cold War 2.0. We've been fighting a proxy war in the Middle East for the past 20 years. It's the same thing, kind of sort of along the same lines as what was happening in the Cold War when we were fighting in Korea a little bit, and then in Vietnam. It's a proxy war. We're fighting, Russia and China, without actually fighting Russia and China. We're fighting it like we're backing the home site Afghan military and the Iraqi military and the people that want to get rid of the other stuff. Meanwhile, our enemies are backing the enemies over there. Really want to get into it, like Alex has said a couple times. Kind of weird that some of those bodies that were quote Taliban went back to Russia instead of to whatever family they had or anything in Afghanistan. Kind of sus.
Weird that something like that would happen.
Kind of sus.
Also weird that we would pull out of Afghanistan, and now the Taliban's taken a stronghold, and now we're getting placed on all these warnings that September 11th is coming up and they might be plotting another attack. Almost like if there is a situation to where Biden pulled out all of the troops and everybody left and right, if they have half a brain, would say, yeah, this is the right decision to make. Planning might not have been the best. You can argue that. I get that. But it is ultimately the right decision to bring them home. But say there was another attack on 9/11, the Taliban got together and performed another, say, World Trade Center type terrorist organized activity, then we would have the ability to say, hey, we got to go back. Our job's not done here. We got to go back. And now we're looking at another 20 years of fueling the military industrial complex. Again, I'm putting my tinfoil hat on here. I realize that. But like we've said 100 times before, and I'll say it 100 times over again, these motherfuckers give us 0% faith to have in them making decisions that are really stemmed and based on American safety and the Americans' best interest. It doesn't fucking happen.
Yeah.
I would like to see one case within the last 6 years where a decision was truly made out of solely the best interest of Americans.
And they'll spin it that that's what the why they made the decision. But if you
Oh,
really
they'll
look at it,
spin it
if
that
you
way.
really look
That'll
at it,
be
it's
the
not what
narrative.
happens. So
That'll be the narrative, but dig a little bit deeper. Somebody's got a hand in the pocket of the lobbyist. Somebody's got a hand in the pocket of big major corporation. There's always a motive behind the decision that runs deeper than this is just the best interest of the American people. It always happened.
Yeah.
So do I want to think that there's going to be another attack on America on September 11th? No. That sounds fucking horrible. I don't want that at all. Am I putting it out of the realm of comprehension? Not whatsoever. Am I almost expecting it? Yes. I fucking hate to say it. I really do hate to say it. I do not want a terrorist attack on America. I do not want it. That sounds horrible. That sounds awful. I don't want to relive that. I don't want people to die. Am I almost expecting it at this point in time, knowing that these motherfuckers know how this whole machine works and that there's money to be made in another terrorist attack, especially with the political climate right now of how much both CNN and Fox News are portraying this whole pulling out of Afghanistan thing. They're making it a central focus, that shiny gem. When we turn on our TVs, that's what we're looking at. And what better excuse to go back and spend more money in the Middle East, because God damn it, we got to protect America, than another terrorist attack.
yeah, and right now it's hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. And that's just, it sucks. And so looking forward for the future of the Middle East and our role in Afghanistan, my hope right now is that we get out and we stay out and we don't go back. And but the caveat on that is, like, what do we do? What do we do from there? Do we have two options at this point? We either have to recognize the Taliban as a legitimate governing entity of Afghanistan and then try and work with them through international like dealings and stuff, or we don't recognize them and we continue to recognize the democratically elected government officials that were in power. Probably not the president who decided to up and leave. He kind of showed his true colors. So maybe we'll stick with the vice president that stayed and was like, no, I'm going to be the caretaker of Afghanistan. And then what happens when you back them and not the Taliban? So now the Taliban's pissed. So it's up in the air honestly right now, and I wish I could say what was going to happen and say that we were going to stay out and not go back and not do anything, but it's convoluted and it's messy, and at this point it's just going to be a matter of time before we see what happens and what plays out over there. My hope is that we pull out and stay out, and then we'll deal with the Taliban having taken over in a different manner, which that will probably look like isolating Afghanistan, sanctions, embargoes, and that kind of stuff, which is not going. It's just not going to make them very happy. But
and you want to talk about refugees that need our help right now? Like, those are the refugees that the entire situation of people trying to come here and claim refugee status, that's what we're set up to do under this specific situation. Like, yes, I feel for people in Mexico whose families are being targeted by the MS-13s and the cartels or whatever. I do feel for that. But right now, this is where we need to be rounding up as many people as we can find in Afghanistan that helped us and were of service to us, that are in real fucking danger of being beheaded in the goddamn streets. Those are the people that we need to be rounding up and bringing to us.
which,
right
fortunately,
fucking
for
now.
I think the most part, we are looking out for those people.
I hope so.
I think the majority. I think a decent amount of that 22,000 that we're supposed to be getting out are people that helped us.
I hope so,
As
dude.
far as the ones that might have helped a little bit here and there, or they're kind of like cowering at home because maybe they gave a little bit of information to coalition forces 10 years ago, and they're scared. I honestly I hope the best for them, and like I said, hope for the best. I don't trust the Taliban at all, not even in the slightest. I trust them about as far as I could throw a large boulder, which is nowhere. But I really hope that to at least some degree they mean what they said about not hunting them down and going door to door. Do I think that they're gonna stick to their word? No.
No.
But I honestly and I hope that somehow anybody, like the people that are over there that are feared for their lives to any degree, find a way out, and get out safely. In a perfect world, it'd be, we could take everyone that wanted to leave, but we don't live in a perfect world. And the unfortunate hard truth of the matter is we're getting out the people that we've deemed important, and after that, you're on your own, and it sucks. And I hate that that's the way that it is, but it's the way that it is. It's an expensive operation that's running right now to get out the
Well,
people that we need to get out.
and again, I'll say, everybody knows, especially if you listen to the podcast last week, how much of a dumbass I think Joe Biden is. But for him to stand up in his press conference and say, this has been going on for 4 presidents, and I'm not handing this off to a 5th president. The buck stops here, and we're done with this. I think that took a lot of political courage. I truly do think that took a lot of political courage to basically stick the middle finger in the face of the
Both
military
parties.
industrial complex, both parties, whatever you want to say. Again, I think everybody knows that I'm not a necessary fan of Joe Biden, but I do think that took a lot of courage, and that's the best thing that he has done to date as our president, to stand up and say, I'm bringing the fucking troops home. Enough is enough. We're fighting a futile war. It doesn't matter if we pull out now or in 2 years. The same shit is going to go down, and it's going to happen. And it's time for us to focus on things that we have going on at home. And we can't turn Afghanistan or the Middle East into a mini America.
Yeah.
Unless we're ready to annex that land
That's what I'm.
and make it make it a Puerto Rico, which, good fucking luck. Like, you're talking about a completely different
And then at that
conversation
point,
now.
that's gonna start. Yeah, like I said, the different countries. Now it's gonna start on a whole path of American imperialistic conquest, and,
No,
and
you
that's
can't
like
do it,
it's
dude. You
it's
can't.
not gonna happen. We cannot
No.
like at no point in time can we annex any country that we've been like are involved in like that. That's just gonna open up an unholy can of worms. Because then as soon as we do it, then Russia's gonna get the balls enough to start annexing
And
all the
then
shit that they used to have,
China's gonna
and then
do it,
China's
and that's gonna-
really, really, really gonna start
Yep.
ramping up the shit that they're doing in the South China Sea right now. Like it's gonna be bad. So like
It's gonna turn into America versus Russia versus China.
It's gonna
on a
be the
global
big
level.
three, basically.
Yeah,
it's gonna
exactly.
be a big three battle royale boxing match, and a lot of lives are gonna get lost, and a lot
We
of
don't
damage
want
is
that.
gonna get done, and that does not
We
need
do
to happen.
not want that. No.
So
No.
that's pretty much it, man. Like the shit that's going down now, it's not. It sucks, but at least for the moment, there seems to be some calm and some peace, and we're able now to really get this operation of getting everybody out that we need out in a swift and calm and timely manner. As far as the future is concerned with Afghanistan, I don't fucking know what's going to happen, and I'm worried a little bit, at least for me and for my brother, we're both military, and I'm coming up on being done with training very shortly for my stuff. He's in practically the same boat, so I don't know if it's gonna happen or not, but deployments could be on the horizon. So I am worried. Not that I don't want to be deployed or anything like that, but it is going to be, a stressful time. And I thoughts, prayers, good vibes are with, everybody that I know that's deployed now and all our other troops that are deployed. And the future is uncertain. And again, I just want to reiterate that for all of the veterans that I know, I'm friends with, that I've come across, even active duty service members that are in this same area. I know it's tough, you guys, but I'm here if you need to talk. I know I haven't been in super long, but at least I, to some degree, understand what you're going through. So please do not hesitate to reach out to me if you need to talk about what is going on and where your head's at and what you are, like, where you're at emotionally and mentally with this shit, because I know it's tough.
I can't imagine, dude. It'd be like in my world building an office, and like hiring all these salespeople. And I'm not even talking about life and limb. I'm just talking about just work and effort, and then you get 20 fucking years in this office and you leave, and then it all just crumbles down to worse than where it started. And you're like, wow, dude, I spent 20 fucking years of my life
Building a
trying
company.
to make that place a better place, and now as soon as I leave, it just crumbles. Like, damn, that's a lot of time and energy and effort that I put into making that a better place.
Yeah.
And now it's just gone.
Yep.
It's just fucking gone.
Yep, it is. Squash, same boat, nice navy pun. That was unintentional, but I'm glad you enjoyed it. Jesus said, on a different topic, did y'all hear that Greg Abbott has COVID? Jesus doesn't know how to feel about that. I actually saw that, and you want to know
He'll
who
be fine.
You want to know who I saw that from? Ed Nuts. Ed Nuts had posted a tweet. I was on Twitter, and I saw that she had tweeted a picture of Greg Abbott, a news blurb of Greg Abbott having COVID. So that's how I found out about that. So Ed Nuts, thank you for giving me that news unintentionally.
Listen, if Donald Trump can survive fucking COVID, Greg Abbott can survive COVID. He's gonna be fine.
Yeah. We will leave you guys until next time. Keep an eye out on the social medias this week for when we'll be going live again. I will put that poll out, and I will post when our new day is, if a day changes, or if not, then we'll see you guys on Sunday. Appreciate you guys hanging out, and until next time, be safe, be good to people, and love each other. All right, we'll be seeing y'all. Peace.
Tell somebody you love them.